Okay guys, we've got a pretty good topic here today, transmuting sexual energy, but specifically how this relates to having endless creativity, how this helps you to have a high energy lifestyle. And of course, non-ejaculatory orgasms, full body orgasms, but most importantly, how to turn this raw, crude, driving, impulsive, addictive often energy that's ruling your life, how to redirect it so that you can work with it, so that you can become a superhuman, so that you can become extraordinary, so that you can live an extraordinary life. We're gonna get down into all of that in this video. I'm Jonathan White. I'm here to help you master your sexual energy so you can manifest your ideal life. And that is what working with sexual kung fu and sexual energy practices will help you to do. So make sure you subscribe to my channel to stay notified when I release new videos, when I go live, turn on the notifications. And those of you interested in upping your sexual game, check out my free ejaculation control course. The link is in the video description below. So our sexual energy. Have you ever taken an action based on a sexual impulse, based on pure animalistic lust? Horniness. Maybe it was, Pornhub marathons when you're clicking a video after video and 3 hours later you're like, shit, it's 3 a.m. My dick is chafed really bad right now. What have I been doing with my life? Maybe it's waking up to some hoe, and being like, well, what was I thinking last night? Maybe spending months chasing some girl, you know what I mean? Maybe it was being in a really, really toxic relationship, but she was willing to have sex with me. We've all done it. We've all been there. I'm guessing if you're watching this video, you have experienced something like this. So when you think about the power of that force that's driving you to go back to Pornhub over and over again, or chase after, women, go to the bar, try to pick up girls, whatever, go to yoga class, try to pick up girls. And when we think of this energy, we think of pressure, we think of driving force, we think of pure power. It's a lot of power behind that sexual energy. We can put that into anything. You can take that energy and put it into developing your confidence, developing your skill set that you have, taking your interests and turning them into full-time passions, potentially turning them into full-time careers, doing amazing things with your life, supporting those around you, inspiring those around you, and doing what you can to make this world a little bit better. I think that's an important part of working with sexual energy. And this is the biggest thing, first of all, is the why. Why would you want to work with your sexual energy? I know a lot of you just want I just want a better orgasm. I just want to last longer during sex. And that's fine. We all start somewhere. I certainly started with that. But when I started practicing these exercises, when I was really getting serious about learning sexual kung fu, I was really turning my life around. I had just gotten exhausted of chasing things, chasing women, chasing a living, doing things that I hated, just trying to pay the bills. And I kind of just completely backed off away from the external world. I moved in with my mom and dad, my parents' farm out in the middle of nowhere in Idaho. I spent a summer out there. I was 23, 24 years old. And you know what? It was the best summer of my life. I had very little distractions. I didn't even have a smartphone. I had this old dial-up phone. I had gotten rid of my smartphone to save money, and I wasn't even on social media. I literally got up in the morning, walked out behind the cornfield, and did my Qigong. It was 15, 20 minutes, whatever I was doing in the morning back then. And I was reading all these books about Qigong. I was reading Montauk Chia's book, Taoist Secrets of Love. I remember sitting under this tree, this beautiful summer day, learning about the valley orgasm and transmuting sexual energy, and it was the microcosmic orbit. It's like, whoa, I'm like, this is what I want to do. I want to go all the way into this 150%. And you know what? I did. I committed to that. I practiced every single day. I got really good at it, but it wasn't easy. Even in my lifestyle of minimal distractions, kind of this almost monk-esque period time life. And don't get me wrong, I was still having fun. I was still meeting up with friends. I was still getting drunk every now and then, smoking some weed here and there at that time of my life. But I was committed to the path. And I think this is the most appropriate thing to mention here as I sip my dandelion root tea, is that you don't have to be a monk to do this stuff. You don't have to escape to a cave or out in the mountains. It certainly helps to get out of the cities with all the noise and the EMF and the pollution, the psychic bombardment of people's emotions. But you can do this in the modern world. You can do this while living a busy lifestyle. And so in my training, coming back to this early on in my training, I was still watching porn often. I still felt this attachment to this, but I started to notice the more that I explored these sexual kung fu practices, the more I started to move this sexual energy through my body, the more committed I became to doing my Qigong every day, the more that my daily life started to change. My impulses gradually started to diminish, because here was the big breakthrough for me. When I was doing Qigong, on a day, for example, where I did my Qigong practice, I did my breath work, did my yoga practice, and wasn't, jerking off to porn, I had this like steady, good feeling, just this groundedness, this like, okay, like, no, I wasn't like absolutely blissed out, mind-blowing, ecstatic, amazing feelings, but I felt good. And I realized I had been chasing these like extreme highs, and whenever there's an extreme high, there's always an extreme low, I've taken MDMA once, okay, maybe more than once, right? And for the few hours, I felt like a god. I was in ecstasy, as they call it, right? But the next 3 or 4 days, I felt worse than death. I felt horrible, because what these drugs do, and pretty much all drugs do this to some extent. It's, varying degrees of extremity, is that there's this up, you feel good, you feel high, and then there's a down. It's a rebound effect, right? And it's the same thing with anything. I used to do a lot of Kundalini yoga because it got me really, really blissed out. It was a very high, but then came these low lows where you kind of crash land. And so I realized what I was seeking was this path of balance, a path of sustainability. I'm sharing this because this is very relevant to orgasm. When I was learning to have the non-ejaculatory orgasm, at one point I realized that I was chasing this, just like the ejaculatory orgasm. It's a very strong high, and then it's a low afterwards. That's what I was chasing. I was expecting to have this high that just went on forever. I was expecting that in a lot of my spiritual pursuits and energetic practices. And ultimately what I realized was that no, whenever any peak state has a drop off. So it's about sustaining a sustainable level of feeling good. Don't get me wrong, feeling good, just not like over the top, right? And so this is something that a lot of men struggle with in learning the sexual practices, is that they're so numbed from overstimulation of porn, overstimulation of social media, that they require a very high level state of stimulation or chemical endorphin, dopamine release, just to feel something they consider relative to normal, or like, okay, this feels okay, this feels pretty good. And so a huge part of this training is about resensitizing yourself, backing off of the excessive stimulation, taking a little bit of a break from social media, taking a bit of a break, stop watching TikTok videos, stop watching 10-second clips, just one after the other after another, completely overstimulating you. Get out into nature. I say this all the time. Go spend some time in nature. Read a book, start doing one thing for a long period of time instead of, watching 10 different videos within a minute. In the context of sexuality, what the system of sexual kung fu really helps you to do is resensitizing yourself to, we could say sensation in the body, but it's more than that. The thing is that most people are so locked up with tension, with past traumas. They're literally stuck in the past. They're not here and now. They're thinking about other things. They're worrying about what this person might think about me, what's going to happen later, blah, 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 blah. Completely disconnected from here, from your own body. The only time most people even feel any degree of like feeling in their body is for men when they're ejaculating, right? Or maybe they're in physical pain. And of course, a lot of this is because we've been conditioned to be stuck in our heads, to be very neurotic, to be overthinking. You take a 6-year-old child who's super high energy, wants to run around and play and say silly things, and very much an embodied kinesthetic learner, and you force them to sit in a classroom at an uncomfortable desk for 6 hours a day, just regurgitating facts, doing really, really boring bullshit, basically training them to be a slave for the rest of their life. We could point some figures as to this being one factor into why we're so disconnected from our latent human abilities. Our latent human abilities because, we have these incredibly complex energy bodies, our energy channel system, the things that we can recultivate through Qigong, through internal energy training and sexual kung fu practice. Coming back to the point here is on a very practical level, learning to open up to higher orgasmic states is about basically being able to be very, very present. We could say mindfulness. It's such a commonly used term now, mindfulness, and it's appropriate here, but it's really, I would say, a process of being able to be fully embodied in what you're doing. So for example, when you're having sex, you're experiencing sexual pleasure. Well, most people become numb to just like, okay, well, that feels whatever, but like, where's the ejaculatory orgasm? Where's the huge explosion and sparks up to my brain? Every little part of sex can be that. Every sensation on anywhere in your body can be this orgasmic feeling, this orgasmic sensation. You simply have to occupy your body a bit more and absorb your mind back into your body. What really helps with this is opening up the channel system of the body, specifically, initially the microcosmic orbit. This becomes the highway through which this information, this pleasure, this orgasm feeling can start to resonate and build throughout the entire body. Here's another problem, is that most men simply can't hold more sexual pleasure because they're tensed up already. They're like a loaded spring about to fire off, and the slightest degree of tension is going to set that off. So we have to open up the body, especially the pelvis area, release tension patterns so that the spring is a little more relaxed. Then you can handle a bit more sensation, a bit more sexual pleasure without going off. And this is what the microcosmic orbit is all about. It's a very, very practical tool that you allow this sensation and this buildup of sexual desire or sexual tension to be moved through. I talk about this all the time, but it's so essential. It's so important. Even like people doing this for years, sometimes, it's good to remember the basics of this stuff. And what I found was that when I was experiencing sexual pleasure, whether by myself or with a partner, and I was really just feeling what was happening and not focusing on trying to make it more intense. Like, okay, this feels good, but I need more and more. I definitely had my fair share of that. But once I got good at this, it became about instead this feels really good. I feel aroused, I feel alive. How can I sustain this process more? How can I feel more deeply into what is happening? This pleasure I'm feeling, how can I move it more into my whole body? What tension am I still holding on to that's preventing this energy from moving, that's preventing me from feeling this on a deeper level? And usually it's as simple as the breath, the relaxation of the mind, and just allowing the sexual energy to move. But we have a lot of resistances to those things. We have a lot of self-protection mechanisms in place that have been preventing us from experiencing that, because it's our birthright to experience these things. A full body orgasm is, I think it's a natural human experience, but we live very unnatural lives in the modern world. It is what it is. So we have to kind of do a lot of work to undo a lot of damage to come back to a state where we can experience our sexuality as it was meant to be. And it doesn't stop in the bedroom. It doesn't stop with, unending orgasmic states you can achieve through this practice. That's great, but it's still not everything. The thing is that this creates a momentum of energy. This orgasmic experience, the orgasm you have, it stays resonating through your body. This is one of the first things I noticed. One of the first few sessions I had practicing sexual kung fu techniques, where I was, self-pleasuring, getting close to the edge, and then just drawing the energy through my body. And it was like, okay, I'm specifically not going to ejaculate. I had to kind of force myself to walk away. And in my mind, I hadn't experienced an orgasm per se, but it felt really good. And that good feeling, that resonating pleasure, it kept moving through my body the whole day. It was this driving force. I felt very alive. I felt high, to be honest. The rest of the day, I felt confident. I felt really good. And I felt like the people around me were reacting to me differently. It's like they could feel there was something different in my field. And so it goes beyond just the bedroom. This is how this energy starts to overflow into your life. You're experiencing pleasure. You're loving yourself, really. You're connecting deeply with others. You're letting this be this fully embodied experience, this resonating orgasm that never stops, other than instead of a 5-second sticky sneeze where you have to sleep afterwards. And this drives you, you become more creative. You simply do. If you have a lifestyle that supports this, like if you're grinding at a 9-to-5 job, grinding 80 hours a week, if you don't have creative outlets in your life, yes, this energy can kind of overwhelm you, and you can step into very addictive sexual impulsive behavior, which is not uncommon for people getting into these practices who don't have a proper grounding mechanism or a proper outlet for this energy that they're building up. But if you do create systems in your life to where you have a way to express this energy through art, through music, through singing, through dancing, through martial arts, whatever it is, you're going to be amazed at the things you start to accomplish when your sexual energy just pours out. It becomes you. Your sexual energy is an aspect of you. It's this creative birthing potential. And that's exactly what it does. It makes you more creative. You start to birth all these amazing things. Your vitality, your enjoyment of life, your personality, everything just improves. And this is, you stop being content with living a boring bullshit life where you work at a job, come home and drink a beer, sit in front of the TV, and well, maybe the wife will have sex with me tonight, maybe not, but I got good old Bud Light here. That's not life. That's slavery. I'm talking about a real life where you do amazing things. You see the world. You meet people who are doing amazing things with their life, having deep conversations, having intimate connections, having breakthroughs. And once you are well on this process as well, you start to help other people go through it as well because you've made the change and now you can be that sort of beacon to others who are on this path. So it's our birthright as humans. This, I believe, is what our sexual energy is meant to be. Something that makes us to be superhuman, super creative, super achieving, super healthy, super natural. I think that's natural human. There's just, we've been, kind of turned into caged cattle and it's an invisible prison, but this is the path of liberation, at least in my experience. Of course, where to begin? Where's the starting point? If you're kind of new on this journey, or you want some kind of like organized thing, because we can talk about this stuff all day, but if you don't have a daily practice of working with it, forget it. You're not going to get anywhere. You have to do this. You have to do the work. You have to put it in. It's the Kung Fu, baby. Skill, the discipline you achieve over a period of training. Some important resources here on YouTube, my Qigong playlist, my sexual Kung Fu exercises playlist, I've got a breathwork playlist, those will be the practices you start to get things moving. To really go in depth with it, a good first starting point is my sexual Kung Fu workout routine. And of course, my multi-orgasmic man course is a deep, comprehensive, if you wanna go all the way with the stuff, that's the thing to do. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel, give this video a like, and let me know in the comments below what have been some highlights on your path of learning to transmute, work with your sexual energy, turn into something that drives your life. Have a great day, my friends.